my guests for today are my dear and bestest friends, Will and Sarah, prior co-workers of mine from the military. And yeah, we're just going to hang out and just talk about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, pretty much.
It's a great
and
movie.
Some nerdy shit. Like,
Great movie.
Big nerds.
right?
Well, you never see that movie with Will Smith?
Yes, I
It's
have.
a sad movie.
Which one?
Life, Liberty, and the Pursuit of Happiness.
Oh, I thought it was just the pursuit of happiness.
I mean, it might be. I don't
The
know.
one where he does the
Yeah, he's like a
Rubik's
stockbroker.
Cube thing.
Yeah.
That scene always ticked me off.
The one that that made me sad was when he's in the bathroom with his kid. His
Oh,
kid's
yeah.
sleeping, and they're trying to get in the door, and he's just bawling his eyes out.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's working on the hard stuff. And
Mhm.
yeah, it's very depressing.
In my head, the only thing, like, I watched it because it was supposed to be based on like a true story
Yeah.
or something like that, and then like I didn't have to learn how to solve a Rubik's Cube because we had really shoddy internet in the early 2000s. So one of my coworkers in quality assurance had a Rubik's Cube, and I would fiddle with it on my break, and
Must be nice.
deployment. But whatever that break was, like, I would just fiddle around with something, and that was the Rubik's Cube. And then like a couple of times, like, I took it to my rack to try to solve it like that evening. It took me 4 months to figure. No Google help, no diagrams. Like, I had to figure it out myself. So like, when the scene shows up where the guy's in the limo or whatever, and he's like, yeah, I just can't solve this thing, and the Will Smith just solves it in like 5 minutes. I'm like, dude, I can do it under less than that. Now
I was gonna say.
I can, because I know the steps that I'm looking for.
Isn't it like left, down, left, right, left, some shit?
So-
And
It
you do that
depends
like 5
on
times.
if you're on the bottom row to the middle row to the top row.
Yeah.
The pattern changes. I actually used to know how to solve it, and I used to solve it in like a minute too.
I don't know how to solve it, so I just gave up.
I know 7 different moves that when you start with, like, getting the first part of a Rubik's Cube is like the easiest, because all you have to worry about is like the top color and then the colors around all matching. So that's just free.
You're just changing the corners out.
Exactly. And like the
Well,
center.
Yeah, the center you line it up
Yeah.
with the middle, but then
Exactly.
you just change the corners.
After that, there's one sequence, but you could do it 2 different ways for left and right. If you're just looking at the front of the cube, that's 2. So there's, essentially 2 algorithms, I guess is what they're called. But then my trick is that I flip after I get the center done, because it's the same move consistently for each side
Yeah.
that I'm working around for the middle piece. I flip the thing upside down,
Yeah.
and then I start doing essentially the same thing.
But you turn it once more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, I'm just honestly, like, at that point,
you go down, turn, then go back up, and then you do it every corner, and then it's done.
exactly. If I can get at least one corner, if I can get across, right, with the top, or what's the bottom is now the top. If I can get across with that color that designates each side, right, that's correct. Then what I'm looking for is at least one corner that is pocketed in the bottom right-hand corner of that face, so that way I can keep it there and then shuffle the other 3 around. So that way, by the time I get those in their homes, they don't have to be correct, because I'm going to fix those later and like literally just turn that corner piece
just a
around.
process, yeah.
Exactly. And that's why I'm like, oh no, Will Smith just solved a Rubik's Cube. Like, oh man, that's so mind-breakingly, difficult. And actually, honestly, if you just take like a little bit of time to just do it, and try it, even with directions. I'm not saying I'm a baller because I didn't have directions, but like,
You know that,
that
You
It
know that-
becomes easy once you figure
Exactly.
it out.
Once you know, like it's kind of
know-
like riding a bike at that point.
You know that picture of like the white chick, and then there's like the triangle with all the numbers and stuff, and she's all confused. That's me right now. It's just
Yeah. It's like what is 28% of my income times 12 months for 36 years? Can we do this in Excel?
so. It's like yesterday at work, right? Me and Will were sitting, and like they were talking about like how we're gonna have wash drops next week because they've been in Florida for a fucking month, right? And I was like, yeah, no, I don't really do wash jobs, so it's not really my problem. And one of the trainees was like, well, why don't you do wash jobs? And I looked at it, I was like, I have washed more jets than you have in the last 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, oh, well, how many wash jobs have you done? So I was like, you know what, Will? I was like, that's a great question. Let's figure it out. So I took the
You
six.
did it
So
ad hoc.
I math. So I took the 6 months that I was doing wash jobs from October to right before January,
Mhm.
and then the 2 months, well, like the month we were back, right? And we had 10 jets. So I times that by 14 or whatever, it got a number of how many wash jobs we did a week. And then I times that by 6 months, and then they gave me a number. It was like 120, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I took the 10 months we were on cruise, where they go to 7 days.
Yes.
And then I figured out how many wash jobs you did a month, which was like 21. Because you do
So
them.
21 times 10, so
Yeah,
210
whatever.
plus the
So-
120.
So you do it a lot,
340
right? I'm not
washes.
done. I'm not talking. I'm not done. Calm down. Anyway, so I took the fucking 11 months we were on cruise, and I figured out how many wash jobs we did a month, and then I times that by 11, and then I took the 2 years up until the last time we did a wash job, and I times that number. Yeah, it's like 936.
Yeah. sounds
You know,
about
you could
right.
have just like ran it ad hoc for that.
Yeah, but we don't have a computer that works in the line check right now, so.
Yeah, the only working computer we have is Chief's.
Look,
Oh.
I was mathing, okay? Let
I
me
mean,
have
I
this
feel
victory.
like your math is sound for like
I wasn't the one doing the math.
an
Will was.
eval. Look, clearly,
Yeah.
like your girlfriend just like was calculating
The
like
math
all
off
of
the top of my
deployment.
head.
Like, yeah, exactly. Like,
The only thing I know
Frickin-
is 1, 2, 3, wash the jet.
Yeah, not even 1, 2, 3 lift.
No, that comes in like 8 months when I'm at VX9.
I know.
I still think it's really like it's really entertaining that like oh yeah, you got like 7 months left, like we'll just get you out of the line check and let you go into your why now, like
I mean, he would have gone sooner, but I made rank.
exactly.
And then,
Now we're short a PC.
yeah. And now we're waiting for this next board, which isn't going to happen, so.
Well, I mean, there's like 2 shot bodies for that board, but as far as line chat goes, there's just no one ready.
There ain't nobody.
I would say it takes just repetitious knowledge,
Mhm.
you know what I
Doing
mean?
it every
Yeah.
day for
To-
the last 4 years.
Get there. Yeah, you know,
Mhm.
just to get to a place where you're able to do
Yeah.
the job,
Yeah.
you know, without being supervised at that
Mhm.
point. I mean, that's just from my point of view. And like the last time I PC'd was like in 2014.
God
Yeah.
damn.
And
So
I
yeah,
was 14.
yes.
Christ, what
Like-
grade was I in? 14. I was a freshman in high school.
Yeah, I was doing it years before that though. Like you were probably wait, you said a freshman?
Yeah.
So you were probably in 6th grade when I got my PC.
Probably.
Yeah, like maybe 7th grade.
What
But
year?
11?
I think that was like, yeah, it was like 6th grade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like 11 to 12 was 6th grade.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Because I remember I was in 6th grade when the world was supposed to end.
Oh, in 2012?
That shit was so silly.
Of
I
course.
I like the movie that they came out
I never
with.
saw it.
I'm
Really?
telling-
It was
No.
actually really good.
I'm telling
Really?
my kids I survived that.
Huh?
I'm gonna tell my kids I survived that.
I survived.
They're not even gonna
Hold on.
know what it is.
So based on that, I have survived Armageddon,
Mhm.
Deep Impact,
Yellowstone,
Yellowstone,
the internet shutting off.
Y2K.
Yeah.
Yep. And let's see, what else have I survived?
What the fuck was up with Y2K anyway?
It was so what it was, because I actually asked that question to an adult because I was like, yeah, wasn't Y2K supposed to like end the world? No, it was just that a lot of computers were not programmed to understand that after 1999, where they only used the last two digits, 99, that you flip over to 00 as a numerical sequence for all documentation. So that was kind of like the kick in the butt, like, oh, we just realized that this is not going to, like, this is going to affect a lot of documentation from something as simple as a check being written at a grocery store. It was 2000, okay? So just imagine grandma doing that.
I was born like 20 days after that. So
But
I was kind of there.
the point is, like, if you saw it, you knew grandma's going to cut a check and write 2000 as the year. And even like her check would say 919 and then blank blank. So, you know, a lot of people, I remember having to one line 19 on the year block and then just handwrite 2000. And I think nowadays, if you get a check, I think the year is, well, God, I haven't seen a check in forever though.
I think it's when the check
Typically
expires now.
Yeah. But at least the year block where that was supposed to be written in, like, they made it so you had to write it in. They didn't even like take the time to ink 20 because you know,
Yeah.
like, we're not going to be there for like another 1,000 years.
I mean, you're not. I am. I'm immortal.
I'm immortal.
I have a camel. Her name's Wednesday. I have a camel. Her name's Wednesday.
Yeah, he wants a camel and call it Wednesday because Wednesday is hump day.
The hump day.
I keep telling him no.
I told her it's a camel or a tank. She chose the tank.
Why not like a llama and then like put like a fake?
It's not the same.
I mean,
it's not the same.
I mean, they are. They both will spit at you.
Just don't piss off the camel, and the camel won't spit at you.
I felt so bad for that camel.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
That camel,
bro. Right as soon as you said, I felt so bad. I knew exactly you were going to talk about.
They got like, I don't mean to be like fat shaming, but like the fattest people on the ship,
skinny camel,
were riding this skinny boned, malnutritioned,
chunk out of its leg from a camel's spider.
Yep.
Camel.
Ow.
Like if you looked at its back leg, it was like straight, indent straight.
Mm-hmm.
Because in case you guys didn't know this, for like the people that listen to, camel spiders, like they're not like regular spiders when they just like suck your blood out.
Huge.
So they're huge and they're weird because when they bite you, it doesn't like poison you. It's not poison. It's a numbing agent. And then they wait for it to numb, and then they proceed to eat the area they numbed instead of sucking the blood out like a black widow does. And then they just keep doing that.
Camel spiders are more related to scorpions than they are related to the arachnoid family.
Yes, murder lobsters.
They just belong to a place of creatures that...
Am I wrong?
No, but like creatures that belong in like a sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
Or at least like Star Wars.
Yeah, I can see that.
Or Star Trek.
Like in the Mandalorian with the weird spider thing.
Yeah.
It's terrifying. I don't have arachnophobia, but spiders are fucking
No,
gross.
but I have snake phobia, whatever that's called.
You got boob snoots?
Little
boob snoots?
You don't like the danger noodles?
No, speaking of danger, did he show you the danger noodle that attacked me last week?
No.
So there I am at work, and someone mentions a danger noodle is in the office, right? And I was like, okay, well, as long as it stays away from me, I'll be fine. I took my 15-minute break, and it showed up underneath my desk.
It's like, hey, bitch.
I have photos. But anyway.
We'll show me later.
I saw the tail end of it, and I was like, okay, I know where it's at.
I promise that's not me licking Sarah. It's Stella licking my arm. I have to clarify.
She's all excited right now.
And then it went around a piece of furniture, like a bookshelf, and then it showed up, like, head poking out, and then it went and slithered off elsewhere.
Yeah.
And then it decided, when I turned my back on it, to slither and snake underneath the chair that I'm sitting at. So, of course, I freak out, and then...
Did you kill it?
No. I got two of my coworkers to... literally broom sweep the snake into a trash bin and then take the trash bin and walk across the street.
Okay, so for reference, the snake he's describing is like 4 inches max in length.
No. So
I'm guessing a foot.
at least I'm gonna give you a foot, okay? This snake, as I'm looking it up online shortly thereafter, turns out to be called a California king snake.
That's in Kings County, so I mean...
That has nothing to do with it.
These snakes can grow up to 2 meters in length. They are indigenous to California, Arizona, New Mexico, and Mexico.
That's great. I would have never guessed.
They are the only snake indigenous in this area that if I know that poison and venom are two separate things, but if they get
Provoked.
eaten by, or I'm sorry,
Then
poisoned.
They're poisonous.
They're not poisonous snakes.
Yeah.
But they're one of the few snakes that if they got like
Killed.
Poisoned or
poisoned?
venom
Yeah.
in their body.
Like if a poisonous, or I'm sorry, a venomous animal tried to kill it with its venom, this snake is one of the few snakes that doesn't affect them.
Oh, so it's a gangster snake.
It's a gangster snake. And apparently people own these snakes as pets because all they do is just constrict their prey and then eat it.
Yeah.
Oh, just like
So-
my ex.
And the worst part, my sister in Florida, right, where anything is game,
Alligators.
she goes, I couldn't tell by your photograph if it's a diamond-shaped head. I'm like, sister, I love you. But I'm like, bitch, I'm not going to get up at close and personal and be like, excuse me, what shape is your head? Like,
Excuse me, sir. Do you have a moment to talk about your car's extended warranty?
Yes, I need to know what shape your head is. Is it round like a bean or is it diamond shaped like, I don't know, a very serious nope rope? You know what I mean? Like,
No rope.
I don't know.
Yo, so speaking of like reptiles, right? So there's this conversation we have in the Lion Shack that I'm trying to justify getting a cayenne alligator
A what?
pet. So it's like it's a subspecies of alligator, right? They only grow to like be like that long, like 6 inches to like a foot long, right?
Okay.
They're really small, right? And I'm trying to justify having one in the barracks, right? And everyone's like, "Oh no, you can't do that. It's 'cause it's not a fish." And I'm like, "But the barracks instruction says aquatic animals. He has webbed feet,
So
he's an aquatic animal." Oh, well, you know, you're not allowed to have that, and blah, 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 blah. But people have turtles in the barracks.
yeah.
So if they have a turtle, which is a reptile, why can't I have
Amphibious.
one? Why can't I have a cayenne alligator?
Alligators are.
I'll show you a picture of what they look like when we're done.
I feel like I've seen this
You
thing
probably have.
before because
There's a few of them on TikTok.
in my
They're
well,
so cute.
Yeah, they're like cute little cuddly, they're like that long.
It's kind of like having a bearded dragon, but with a long snout and teeth.
It's not gonna kill you. It can't.
It's
It's only
if it
like a
bites
foot.
you,
It's like
it won't
6
let
inches
go.
long.
I've worked with 6 inches before, so
Yeah, we know. Well, Sean, I didn't need to know about Rudy.
Oh, poor Rudy. He's gonna hear this and be like,
No, he's
"What?"
not.
He'll cut that part out.
No. It's not a matter of like, oh, it's only just like a 6-inch reptile snake or critter here. It's like, even if it's just 2 meters long, I'm sitting there going like, who decided like, oh, that's a pet? Like,
It's like, who looked at a cow's udder and went,
I want some of that.
I don't know.
Yeah.
just saying.
To this day, all I know is like at a certain age, I decided, yeah, this is not metabolizing well.
I'm pretty sure we started milking goats before we started milking cows.
Why would you look at a goat and go,
I want some of that.
I don't know. Maybe people just saw that baby goats suck on the teats of the fucking.
my point
Goat.
still stands.
I
Why
mean-
would someone go, hey, what's that baby goat drinking?
Maybe because it was like a monkey see, monkey do situation.
Most likely.
I
You
don't
know,
know,
I
man.
don't know.
And then
Ancient
they found
people are
out that
weird.
it tastes horrible until you process it, and they're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, this is so much better."
I've never had unprocessed.
With that being
milk.
said, though,
It's super bitter.
Oh,
with that being said, though, I still enjoy a nice cold glass of milk before I go to bed.
Yeah.
that
So,
sounds
so are you complaining
so
about them
dangerous.
finding out
So
about
great.
milk?
I'm not lactose intolerant, so
But I,
yeah, fucking learn to tolerate it, pussy.
It's not something that you're just like, you're not even born with it. Your body just
develops like because I
Develops.
used
So
to.
actually, so I found out because I was like reading some articles and stuff about it.
Uh-huh.
So being lactose intolerant is natural after a certain age,
Mhm.
right? It's because you're not supposed to be drinking it. If
Yeah.
you're not lactose intolerant, it's actually a genetic difference.
it's a
and
genetic mutation.
Yeah, and it's not like natural. Like your body's not supposed to process it. But I don't have that problem, so
Okay.
I can process it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, the only milk that I do have readily accessible is just almond milk,
Oh yeah, nut juice.
nut juice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
show me the tits on an almond.
Actually, so about that, I have seen the process of
Yeah,
making
soaking it
almond
in
milk.
water.
Me too.
Yeah,
It's not so that part right there is not like the main reason, like the way that almond milk is made. It's actually a whole process of softening the nut. So
Yeah.
that way
Yeah.
when you blend that,
uh-huh. Yeah, soften in the nut.
Which you blend it and then you
And
put
then-
it in a mesh
Yeah.
bag
And
and, you
then
squeeze
squeeze-
it
and
like
then you
you
squeeze
the
would
bag
a
that the
cow
nuts are in,
udder.
and then this is turning very
Yeah, you squeeze the bag of nut.
yeah.
Yeah, some nut juice.
hmm
So I don't drink almond milk, you fucking pussy.
Look, it's for wanting to try to get to a place where in life where I'm not making too much of a carbon footprint.
Fuck the environment. I won't be around.
I know
for it.
that oat milk is supposed to be like the best for that process because it uses the least amount of water to create oats, and there's an abundance of oats being made on the daily, practically year round, that it wouldn't be as evasive as almonds are, or rice, or anything else that is alternative. But like trying to find oat milk is so freaking hard.
Yeah, go find an Amish community or something.
You probably
If I was
find
like
it
in
at one of those
Virginia,
food
that would not
stores.
be too difficult to pull off. But like here in California, you're probably more likely to find like the hippie
Nut milk.
compound than an Amish
Some
Yeah.
nut juice
group. Yeah.
in California.
hmm
Never would have guessed.
Just
Ugh.
just for almond, or not for almonds, but just for oat milk, just specifically for that, dude.
California is weird.
It really is.
I hate
like
being here.
I don't know about you guys, but like I've noticed like so I've been watching a court case. I'm not going to say which it is because
I know which it is.
you know which one it is.
That takes place here, right?
Huh?
That's California, right?
No, it took place in Texas.
Oh shit.
Yeah, right. I know, right? Let me tell you what. Without saying what the court case is, that judge handled it like a boss. Like, I'm always still like more astounded by how the judge is handling that case. And the only reason why I'm watching it is because I think I told you before, and I think I've told both of you, I've always wanted to be on a jury.
Yeah.
Like, and seeing as how like all my coworkers this year have practically come into work and they're like, oh man, I got jury duty. I'm like,
I'm in the military. I don't have that
I'm sorry, Willy Wonka, where the fuck is my golden ticket? Like, I want a day in court just to sit there and be told, like, oh, he's got earrings, he can't be on the jury stand, or he's too white and bald and has a goatee, he can't be on, or I answered these 20 questions wrong, like, things but no thanks.
It's like if I ever did jury duty, right? And they were like, oh, well, this guy's a fucking, like, a Nazi, right?
Yeah.
And, like, he's not against, like, transgender and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm a carbon fiber reinforced salt toaster, so I can't be here. It's on my Facebook. It's my gender. If I ever wanted to change... So, one of the things I think is funny about California is on your license for your gender, you can put whatever the fuck you want.
Yep.
So, if I ever got a license here, I'm putting that on my fucking license.
For... Like, when I became a citizen for the state here, I put dudism.
Dudism.
Nice. Nice.
I was just like, I'm still in good standing with the church, Like, I have to do jack all and shit for it.
What's that religion with the flying spaghetti monster?
Flying spaghetti monster?
Yeah, there's a whole religion around it.
You mean Cthulhu?
No, not the ocean guy. It's literally a giant.
I don't know why I thought
monster.
spaghetti monster and I thought Cthulhu, but it's the tentacle things, that I'm like.
No, like there's a religion that they worship just a giant flying spaghetti monster.
I'm gonna be real, like it's shit like that. It kind of makes religion a joke because you can literally just be like, yeah, we believe in this as something completely out of the water and makes no sense, and people are like, oh, that sounds great.
Well, and that's where Cthulhu, even from like the 1940s, I mean, all it was just a 4-chapter science fiction,
it's like the
book, novel, story, short story, right?
Yeah. And people are like,
his
I want to
friends,
believe this.
H.P. Lovecraft's friends were like, oh no, we'll make a whole backstory for Cthulhu that gets like name dropped like 3 or 4 times in the whole story.
He's real. Cthulhu's real.
Yeah.
He's real.
And that is where that kind of like dossier for, if people so chose to go down that train of thought. But yeah, it only takes just like, just one little backstory of creationism in some way, shape, and form.
Oh, Star Wars.
You know the Cantina Band from episode 4 has 46 pages of backstory on Wikipedia, which is the Star Wars version of Wikipedia.
I will say, though, be careful about using Wikipedia, because it was most likely just some made-up shit from several random people just adding it into multiple pages.
Wikipedia is different.
Wikipedia.
It's still the same thing.
No,
it's just called something slightly different.
Wikipedia was actually made by Lucasfilms. So only people from Lucasfilms could change it.
I want them to explain the midi-chlorian thing.
Look, they tried episode 1.
Midi-chlorians?
Nobody liked it.
Yeah,
that's why they haven't mentioned it.
Yeah, they're like, oh, it's the essence of all life. They're
Yeah.
essentially these micro cells that have connections to the Force, and that if someone has more than a certain amount, they can use the Force.
They become like Force sensitive. That's the thing. I was like,
Yeah, see, they tried that episode 1, and then you notice like everything
kinda-
since then hasn't mentioned it.
Right.
Because nobody liked it.
But also, like, I was watching a YouTube channel where they kind of like explain like certain like little nuances, like B story and A story,
Yeah.
or I don't know how to explain that. What is it called? Like what you know from the canon, and then like I guess
Like Legends.
legends or
Yeah.
B canon or something like that.
Yeah. So canon is like what's relevant in the universe
yeah.
right now. And then Legends is what was before Disney took over. Because Legends used to be canon.
Well, then what would be like the stuff that gets put into novels?
That's canon.
Yeah.
Is that canon as
Yeah.
well?
So
okay.
any book made after Disney took over is canon.
Okay.
Every book before is just like it's Legends. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't
Yeah.
exist.
It's kind of like with Star Trek, where like we all know that Captain Kirk dies in Generations, and then William Shatner decided, no, I'm gonna write a book, and Captain Kirk comes back to life.
Ooh.
Ooh, yeah,
Like the
I know.
Emperor again.
Like it was way worse than how Spock came back.
Guys, they got another Death Star somehow.
It wasn't-
Somehow,
wasn't
yeah.
the way they made Spock come back. It was like an alternate version of Spock, and it wasn't the Spock that they knew. And then they brought it to their timeline universe.
No,
right?
how Spock died was by radiation poisoning.
Yeah.
And they put his body in a casket and shot it out to space. It landed on the Genesis planet,
yeah,
and the
that's right.
Genesis planet, its whole reason is that it brings
reverses
life
life,
from
yeah.
nothing,
Yeah.
right? So they made a moon planet out of or into life, right?
Yeah.
And when they realized, oh, Spock's still there, like he's alive, we need to go and get him. That's how he came back, but he didn't have his consciousness because he gave that to Bones. And then they had to do like a
Yeah.
thing
With the
flippy-floop
dock. Yeah,
of-
they had to do the thing with the dock, and then they were
Yeah.
naturally linked
And
through
then
the
the
rest of
next-
their
Yeah,
lifetimes.
and then the next movie is Spock coming to terms that he's not the same Spock from before because he's having to pick up from that death.
Yeah.
So it's like you're working with an analog. So going back to Star Wars and the midichlorians, I heard a video about Darth Vader had allegedly a lot of midichlorians. I don't know if I'm still saying that right. But I do know so when the high ground happened, we'll call it high ground. When the high ground debacle happened,
It's over, Anakin.
I have the high ground.
what I do know is
Underestimate
this.
my power. Don't try it. Ah!
Yeah, all that happens, and people lost arms and legs.
People, just Anakin. I think the only limb he didn't lose was
like
the one
the
he
one arm.
already lost.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
he already had the half robotic arm.
so the YouTube video was claiming that because of the
burnt off?
loss of ligaments,
Yeah.
it
Inhibited.
lowered
Yeah.
his
Yeah.
midichlorian
So-
count.
Yes.
So like, I know what video you're talking about. 'cause I've seen it
Do you know what
before.
I'm talking about? Okay.
So like the theory though is that it's in your blood,
uh-huh.
right? And it flows throughout your body.
Uh-huh.
And since he lost fucking
Half his
his
body.
arm and both of his legs,
Uh-huh.
his midichlorian count went down because he didn't have that extra space for it to run through. But I don't really know.
I don't think that's how blood works.
Dude,
but
No,
like
I think what happened is because he lost his limbs,
Mhm.
he doesn't feel the force like he used to.
I don't know, man.
because
I saw
it's
Kenobi.
like, his limbs are gone. But be honest, most of it's just because his suit limits him, and he wanted
Yeah.
to keep himself angry and revengeful to keep to the dark side, so he never upgraded his suit, even though he had the opportunity to. But if you watch the Kenobi series,
You better spoiler first.
sorry, spoiler warning. If you watch the Kenobi movie, he's actually very
Series.
TV series. He's
all
actually
good.
he's actually still very, very powerful. I don't
Mhm.
think he really lost his ability.
well, because at that point he's like in his 40s, right?
No, so in Kenobi, this is 10 years after episode 3.
Yeah, so
So-
it's like 30.
Oh, that's
So
right.
he was in episode 3 he was 22.
Yeah.
So right
So
now
he's like at least
yeah,
32.
he'd be like early 30s, right? And you got to keep in mind, like, he's been hunting down Jedi and slaying younglings and stacking bodies, right?
Right.
Straight mass murderer, right? Like not Hitler, but Darth Vader's body count is like fucking up there, right? Straight just mass murderer,
Yeah.
right? Like when he was in the streets and he was just dragging out random civilians and just cutting them down,
Yeah.
right? Or the hallway scene in Rogue One, right? That takes place 10 years after Kenobi.
Yeah.
So he's in his like 40s because what like not a lot of people understand is A New Hope to Return of the Jedi, it's only like 2 years, right? It's not that much of a time difference. And when he died, he was like 44.
Yeah.
So in Rogue One, he's in his 40s. But still, he walks in that hallway and he just starts slaying people, stopping fucking the door with the Force without even like just using his mind to do it. Or in Empire when he chokes fucking Admiral what is it? Fucking not I can't remember the Admiral's name, but Admiral Piet takes over for him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
Admiral,
one of my favorite scenes.
Admiral, I think it's like awful.
Because he's
or
just
something.
like, this motherfucker.
Yeah,
And
so he's
just
in his little
turns
spinny
around.
chair, right, on a separate part of this the executor, and he just chokes him using the Force, right? Not
Yeah.
even in the same room, right?
Yeah, he's just
And then-
looking at him through
yeah.
a screen, and
Yeah.
he's just like, "You're dead now."
Yeah, and then like in Kenobi, when he literally stops the ship, rips it to the ground,
Yeah.
and then rips it apart. So like, I think Disney kind of like retconned the whole metachlorian thing
Yeah.
because if that's the case, everything Darth Vader can do doesn't make sense. Because if he lost his metachlorian count, no matter how much hatred you have in the dark side,
Yeah.
it still wouldn't be what it was. He wouldn't be able to par up with the Emperor because in canon right now, the most powerful Sith is the Emperor. So because he comes back twice.
Yes. But I think really
Yeah,
what it
so-
was is that after he lost his limbs, he had to retrain himself
to be able to wield,
to
deal,
be able
and
to
all that
wield
stuff,
and
yeah.
use this stuff, and I think that's why he was initially kind of weak after
Yeah.
he was reassembled.
Mm-hmm.
But now, after a while of meditating and everything, and figuring out how his body is, he just
But that's also like when he fights, he uses one hand
Yeah.
instead of two hands like Anakin used to.
Well, didn't he also like train? Like if I remember correctly, there was a video about like that particular fighting stance. Like
Yeah.
Anakin evolved fighting
Yeah.
stances.
it was
Yeah, he had
it
to.
was
Right,
meant,
yeah.
is because he couldn't move as much, but also it was meant to counteract Obi-Wan Kenobi's defense like style, which
Mhm.
Obi-Wan Kenobi was a master of his form, which was extremely hard to
Mhm.
master. And so Darth Vader at the time was like, I need to make sure that I can overpower that. So that's what
Yeah.
his new stance was. He actually kind of used Obi-Wan's stance and fused it with another stance of his own.
Because
Mhm.
if you look at how he fights, right, it's not how Anakin would have fought.
Mhm.
It's more reserved, right?
Yeah.
It's I'm gonna let you come to me, but I'm still gonna beat you.
Mhm.
You know, and it's like Sun Tzu, right? If you're gonna fight, you want to fight where you want to fight, not where they want to fight.
Mhm.
So by him changing his stance and merging it with, I think he merged Form 7 and Form 5, which
Yeah.
is what Obi-Wan used.
Mhm.
He was able to use, because Obi-Wan's a defensive fighter.
Mhm.
That's why he won on Mustafar. You noticed like throughout the whole fight, he didn't attack Anakin.
Mhm.
Anakin attacked him.
Yeah.
And that's why he won, because he always had the advantage. He always fought where he wanted to fight.
Mm-hmm.
So
And yet, even in like Obi-Wan, that consistently always happens. Like, yeah, you're right. Like,
So-
even when he was like running away and trying to just survive, like,
He was finding the best advantage
Advantage,
that he could
yeah.
get. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. In my head, I was like, wow, there's a whole lot of hills in the background. Like, there's so much advantage we could take right now.
Background.
Yeah. And then he got the high ground.
No, I mean that fight, he lost that fight. Not
Yeah.
gonna lie. But and then the final fight, which was fucking beautifully done.
Oh my god, right?
Fucking beautifully done.
Right?
Like fucking Darth Vader throws a fucking mountain on the guy,
Right.
and he still wins.
Mhm.
And well,
Yeah.
that's like
He almost lost.
Yeah, well, that's like how Darth Vader had to change his stance, right?
Mhm.
So if you watch Rebels, spoiler alert, even though it's like 5 years old, him and Darth Vader and Ahsoka fight.
Mhm.
Anakin taught Ahsoka how to fight people that were bigger than her, like General Grievous.
Mhm.
Anakin is now bigger than her and bad. So
Mhm.
Anakin taught her how to fight him
Mhm.
indirectly,
Mhm.
and she won.
Yeah.
She beat his ass.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I remember seeing that too. Yeah.
I think it's kind of like poetic though that like she removed one side of his helmet
Mhm.
and then Obi-Wan removed
Remove
the other side.
Yeah.
But the only person who could take off the whole helmet was Luke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it's kind of poetic.
I will say, I think like for this year, as far as like Star Wars and how Disney has handled Star Wars, not the
It's
movies,
hit or miss.
but like
Kenobi, fantastic.
Kenobi was amazing.
Book of Boba Fett was mediocre.
Here's my only critique about Book of what I call now Book of Wubba Fett, because it was like
Moved like a bad dog.
you would think that Pokemon would be a badass motherfucker, but then we only realized like, it's not that great.
Yeah. Honestly, like, so the first
Like,
few episodes were great.
Great.
Because it shined a new light on the Tuskens,
Mhm.
and it made me hate them a lot less.
Yeah,
You know?
because I only knew them as like
Sand
just
people.
antagonists
Yeah.
in
Yeah,
the
murderers.
first film.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, fucking the Book of Boba Fett shines a new light on that. And then it
Mhm.
gets boring, and they knew it was getting boring. So who do they call? Their child.
Yeah.
They call Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Right? And then
As
they
soon as we
and then
got,
they
like-
take 2 episodes, which should have been in the Mandalorian,
Yeah.
and they put it in the Book of Boba Fett. So then
Mhm.
it's no longer the Book of Boba Fett, it's the Mandalorian featuring Boba Fett.
Those 2 episodes, it was 2 episodes, wasn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah, 2 episodes of Mandalorian. Well, it was Mandalorian.
Yeah,
we'll
it's
just
the Mandalorian.
say that's the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
In the Book of Boba Fett, that's where I was like sitting here going like, what the fuck show am I watching now?
Yeah.
Because even Star Trek wouldn't pull that bullshit. But then like at least maybe like a one-off or
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
one episode where they
Yeah.
kind of have like the other
Yeah, like what he was
season
doing
in.
this whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
um
But they did 2 and it made no sense.
and I'm just sitting here going like, where is this adding up to?
Yeah.
What is going
And
on?
then, like, the final episode was cool. How, like, to bring out the Rancor and Cad Bane, who was, like, one of my favorite characters from the Clone Wars
My
show.
only problem with the last episode was that like in an episode, typically like a one-off episode,
Yeah.
there has to be like some one conflict, and 2, the stakes have to be high enough for the audience to care.
Yeah.
Because in that one episode, you have to care about it, right?
Which I didn't.
I felt like every 15 minutes, the stakes were so high, and when the last one was like there, like, okay, Rancor enters, now it's gone. Oh my god, they're in a pickle again. Oh man, this new flank of people just showed up.
Yeah.
Oh man, they're, struggling still. And it's just like, what is going on? Like the struggle can't be this difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My thing was when the biker teenagers showed up
Oh.
on their fucking mopeds.
Mopeds?
I
Yes.
thought that shit was funny.
Dude.
I was like,
I
what?
know. I was like, womp womp.
That's what I, like, stopped caring
I don't
about
know
the
which
story.
one was worse, the midichlorians or the
mopeds.
or the mopeds.
The mopeds. The mopeds. Hands down. The
That
mopeds.
was
Hands
so
down.
funny.
Hands down.
Yeah.
Listen,
It looked
you're
like the Power Rangers were rolling in,
Yeah,
just like, go,
it was.
Go, Power.
It was the Power
It
Rangers.
reminded me of like nothing against the game, but it reminded me of Cyberpunk 2042.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah.
was sitting here like, wait, did they put Cyberpunk in the fucking?
Actually, that's before Cyberpunk even came
I
out,
know-
too.
No,
No, it
it's
wasn't.
not.
No, was it?
Yeah.
Cyberpunk's been out for like 2 years now.
Yeah,
Oh, that's right.
but that's what that whole part
Yeah.
gave me feelings of. I was like, what the shit?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Want to play Never Have I Ever?
Sure.
All right. So, you don't have to go into detail, but
I don't like where this is going.
it gets a little racy.
Oh.
Oh no.
The first one's great. It's just the tip of the iceberg.
Just like the Titanic.
So here we go. We're gonna play Never Have You Ever and What If. And on my stream, on Twitch, I play this when people follow.
I've played.
And yeah, that's right. And so never have I ever. Never have I ever sexed.
Oh yeah, all the time.
I have.
All the time.
Yeah.
My worst.
Especially when I'm on dead.
Yes. When I was at Top Gun, I was right. But like the worst time that I've ever sexed, I accidentally sexed the wrong person.
Stop.
No. It's just me clapping some cheeks. You know what I'm saying?
Leave my thighs alone.
So here I am, trying to send my wife at the time motivational photos while she's at work. Because I thought,
to your mom.
Yes,
I know where this is going. Because you told me.
My ex-wife's name and my mom's name are the same.
That's fucking
first
weird.
letter. They both have the same last names because I just married my wife.
Why do you
right?
have your last name of your wife in your phone?
Huh?
Like I'm assuming you were texting.
Yeah.
So why'd you put like X something Graves?
Oh no. Well, now it's
know what it is now.
emojis with the cross
I know what it is
on their
now.
chest.
Red flags.
But so like now I have like emojis next to like contact names that I'm like, oh, don't answer anymore. Like that's.
I wonder what my emoji is.
Yours is
It's a cowboy hat.
It is. Yeah. Like my Chiefs, like my first Chiefs, his is a little brown shoe. Like, to this day.
That's like in my phone contacts with like Sarah.
Yeah.
It says baby cake Sarah.
Rudy just has like little hearts next to his name. Like that's all that shows up. But like, yeah, at the time I didn't have emojis on contact names. So that wasn't even a thing yet. So I'm just looking at like the first like L name in the G's last names. And I'm just like, oh, that's who I want to contact. And so I just sent a whole bunch of dick pics off to my mom
Jesus
in her
Christ.
late 60s, and she's like, is this what all the young kids do? I'm like, oh my god, who did I just text? Never have I ever been in handcuffs. Yes, professionally or otherwise.
I actually never have.
Not sexually. So I was working at Wendy's. Okay.
These nuts.
Wendy's nuts on your face. Nah, so I was working at Wendy's. I was, what was I think I was like 17, right? And I guess there was a soldier at Fort Carson that went AWOL.
Yeah.
Looked just like me. So, funny thing is, this happened to my dad a few years, like when he was working at a restaurant, right? And they came in and they arrested him. And they took him to Fort Carson. And my Nana had to go and get him and prove that this wasn't who it was. And I remember my dad telling me about
like,
that.
ID card would be falsified in some way, shape, or form.
Exactly. So fucking the fuck was it? So my Nana comes and all that stuff. He tells me that when I'm like 10, right? Fast forward, I'm 17, working at Wendy's. I'm doing my fries, right? Because I was the fry guy, you know? Just best in the world, you know? I was really good at that. It was easy. You just put them. Anyway, so fucking MPs come in, right? And they're like, hey, we need to talk to you.
Okay.
I'm like, okay. About what? They're like, well, you look like the guy that's went AWOL and blah, blah, blah. And I looked at it, I was like, if I went AWOL, do you really think I would stay in the same city I went AWOL in, working at a Wendy's? So my fucking manager comes out and she's like, what's going on? And the MP is like, oh, well, yeah, so this guy's under investigation for going AWOL and blah, 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 right? So they put me in handcuffs, right? They put me in the back of the car. I'm in there for like an hour. My manager has to go and pull my records, like my copy of my birth certificate,
right?
And when I started working there and the ID I provided stuff, and hand them a copy of it. So my manager's like, okay, cool, whatever, you can release him. I gave you all this information. And they're like, oh, well, we're gonna have to run it first, so we're gonna have to take him to Fort Carson. And my manager's like, yeah, no, he's a minor. You can't take him without his parents knowing. His parents aren't here. You have to release him. She's like, I will hold him until you guys come back. So they release me. I go back to work because I'm working an 8-hour shift.
Right.
They come back like 2 hours later. They're like, oh, yeah, we got the wrong guy. We're sorry. Blah, 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 blah. Cool. Thanks.
What?
Yeah, because I'm just gonna fucking stay at the same place I went AWOL at.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
that makes fucking sense.
Theoretically, if the MPs found you and you were AWOL
Yeah.
and they found you in the place that you went AWOL
AWOL
in.
And keep in mind, right, at the time, I weighed like 300 pounds, and it wasn't a good 300 pounds. I wasn't in the army.
Right. And then you still stayed there.
If I was AWOL,
Like, what?
once I ran,
Yeah. Exactly.
yeah. So
Dude,
that's,
I've dealt with
I
someone
never
who-
told my dad that.
But I have dealt with someone
Me
in my military time going AWOL. They went from Washington State to Florida.
I remember you told me.
And then the motherfucker came back to Washington thinking, oh, I did the math. I'll be good because it's been 29 days. It was like 32. Dude could not count to save his life.
Was he an AO?
No, he was an AZ.
Oh.
Yeah, you'd think, because counting, fundamental. Never have I ever gotten drunk with a former teacher.
Yes.
No,
Yes.
No.
me
Yes.
neither. Yeah, I don't.
Yes.
I wouldn't mind with some of my teachers, but I don't live it.
I
Like,
really
I'm not in
don't-
Colorado, so.
Yeah, I don't really have like a teacher that I would. Maybe. Okay, hold on. I do have a teacher that has the same last name as me, no relation, that I had for 2 semesters, and I would have a beer with him. So Tom, if you're out there,
Mine was my 5th grade teacher. I came back from basic when
Mhm.
I was 18. So,
Yeah,
you know, and I was at a bar with one of my buddies because they had like underage night or whatever.
hmm
And I saw my 5th grade teacher there, and she was like, "Oh, hey, you know what are you doing?" I was like, "Oh, I just got out of boot camp and blah 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 blah." And she was like, "Oh, cool. Here's a beer."
Yeah.
And then we had a beer, and then we went our separate ways. So,
See, I wish I had teachers that were that cool. Never had teachers that were that cool.
well, I was told I was gonna be a Navy SEAL. I'm not a Navy SEAL.
You were in the Navy, though.
Yeah, I got one of those things. Yeah.
You know, Department of something.
Eh.
What if you notice a trail of gasoline headed for the bonfire you are attending?
I'm lighting that bitch.
Yeah, okay, so when I flipped that card and I saw that question, I was like this. I think I would be like, run! You know, I would
Nope.
like immediately start yelling like run, hopefully if like that. But
It's a bonfire.
yeah, I don't think the gasoline's gonna heat up like that instantaneously.
So my next question: is it on the dirt?
I suspect so. I mean,
It's
the
not gonna light.
bonfire's on dirt.
It's not
That's
gonna
not gonna light.
It's not gonna
No.
light. It soaks into the ground.
Exactly.
I tried.
I never did,
Oh,
but
Jesus
no.
Christ.
I tried.
Trying to commit arson.
No,
over
I was at a
here.
bonfire. I was with some guys. Right, we were out east. I was 17,
Uh-huh.
and
Sounds like a 17-year-old
yeah,
thing to
so,
do.
So we all, you
That's
know,
a boy.
yeah. So we all get
17-year-old
we
thing
all
to
get a
do.
bunch of stuff. We all put it on there. We pour gasoline on it. This is a big bonfire, like the size of that little couch right there.
Mhm.
Right, decent fire.
Yeah.
And I cover it in gasoline, and I lead a trail across, and it's on the dirt. So like I wait, like enough time for me to put the can down and take out a stick and light the stick on fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, didn't light on fire.
No. Yeah.
So
I found out from Mythbusters that like even like fuel that was like lit, like you know in the movies how like they drop the cigarette butt
Yeah,
and
it
it like
doesn't work.
lights. It doesn't work. And then there I am in like Florida, like watching a car on the side of like the median
yeah,
just catch on fire. I pulled over into a whole other parking lot with my other schoolmate, and I was just like, we're gonna watch this motherfucker burn. And the whole reason why was because I wanted to see if the Hollywood thing would happen.
No.
It doesn't happen.
unless it gets to the gas tank or there's a fuel leak, it doesn't happen.
Even then, still the fire department shows up and just
Yeah.
threw a hose in, and the whole thing went psh,
Yeah.
and they just like smothered the whole thing. And then that's when I was like, well, I guess we'll go back to the beach. I drove off.
I guess we'll go back to the ocean now. Fuck school, right?
Yeah, I know. Like it's like, well, I guess. Here's a shower thought. Cartoon anime characters who watch TV in the same style as their own show are watching live action.
That makes sense.
Right? Right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm trying to like go through the Rolodex of TV shows like
Family Guy.
maybe like Dragon Ball,
Family Guy.
Family Guy. Oh yeah, Family Guy's a good one. Yeah.
Definitely watch Family Guy.
South Park.
Yeah.
Well, they typically only watch Canadians. Or Simpsons,
Yeah.
right?
They've
Itchy and Scratchy.
They kind of did that in a few Simpsons episodes, but they didn't make they made it seem like they were watching a live action, but the animation on the TV was their universe animation.
Right. Yeah. Except for like the cartoons where like they're like blob images.
Yeah.
On that, I was like, oh, that's just the kind of suspense of disbelief on that one.
Yeah.
There's like a Tenchi Muyo episode where they like clearly look like aliens and they're just like not even in the same realm of characters. And I always thought like, oh, maybe they just got like satellite. You know?
What's Tenchi Muyo?
So Tenchi Muyo is a harem anime.
Ah.
It's been around for like years. Like
he doesn't watch anime.
Late 90s. It's about this kid named Tenchi and all these women from outer space show up and they fall in love with him. Some of them are a little bit too adolescent to be having feelings for this guy, but he's a high schooler. He's supposed to be a high schooler, and there's older women, like hundreds of years older because they're aliens, and then there's,
12-year-olds.
12-year-olds, because why not?
Of course. My stance still proves its point.
Exactly. But there's like an arc. There's a overall arc that these characters, there's a reason why they're all together. But anyway, yeah, that was my first anime because I wanted to watch Pokemon, and I gave my friend a VHS to record Pokemon on, and instead I got Tenchi, and I didn't know any better.
So you're going through the whole thing, think this is Pokemon.
I did. I thought.
What's up with this 12-year-old? What kind of Pokemon is that?
Well, so I would go into school the next week and I'd be like, wow, that new episode of Pokemon was like really intense. And all the kids at the cafeteria were like talking about a whole other TV show that I was not watching. Because I was like, no, the blue-haired girl, she just landed on Earth and she was in a robot and like... There's now like a little blue brown rabbit thing that meows like a cat, and they're like,
"What the hell
fuck are you talking about?" Like that's the Pikachu, right? And they're like, "No, Pikachu's yellow."
That's not the Pokemans.
Yeah,
that's like, dude. So whenever we drive home, right, when we drive back to Colorado,
yeah,
it's like a 17-hour drive, right? You know, and after a while, you just run out of things to talk about.
Yeah.
Sarah, we talk about her Pokemans, and I'm sitting there just zoning out to the highway.
He doesn't know a thing of what I'm talking about.
And she's talking about her Pokemans, and I'm just trying to understand, But
I don't expect him to understand. I'm just like, hey, just hear me out. You don't have to know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Treat this like a podcast, but with my voice.
And then she sleeps for like 13 hours. We get to the hotel, and she's like, I'm not tired. And I'm like, yeah, well, that's what happens when you sleep for 13 hours.
What else am I supposed to do while we're driving? You won't let me drive.
I like driving.
I like driving, but I also like swapping.
I will.
He won't let me swap.
I will drive from here to Santa Fe before I swap. So this last time we drove, when we went home for her birthday, we got to Santa Fe at like 3 p.m., right? I'm laying in bed. I'm like, like the Springs is like 4 hours away.
Like probably made that Springs trip.
I was like, we could just fucking send it.
And I said, okay. And then you're like, but I already paid for the hotel.
Yeah, I already paid for the hotel. So I was like,
might as well just stay there.
So I was like, I'm just gonna go to sleep.
Yeah, I would have too. I
ended up going to sleep at like 9. And then we woke up at like 5.
Yeah, we woke up.
That seems
at like
reasonable.
5 or 6.
Yeah.
And then we woke up, got something to eat, and then we finished the drive.
Because the podcast is called Inspire with Sean. What inspires you today, this week, and this month? For myself, as an example, honestly, like, what's been inspiring me is learning so much about.
It's not Sarah.
All right.
It's Stella's butt.
My
Lay
dog.
down.
Being resilient to aw,
Hi.
baby.
You just did a whole ass cat headbutt on my
She-
stomach.
I swear, like, she gets jealous like way too easily,
Just like my ex.
right? She's jealous with my cat. I'm like, what are you doing with your life, Stella?
Just look at her. She's like, say something to the mic. Like, bark, bark, bark.
She just said, like,
Here, say something. There you go.
But yeah, I mean, like, this last month, like, having to be resilient towards stressors that I've had to deal with, regardless of it being my property management for the place I live in, or, I mean, shit, even, like, family issues, you know? Like, having to remember resiliency, and as well as, like, when doing things, like, we talked about this before potting, is that, like, you know, when you do something for a good cause, like, there is a high to, like, helping others out when you are able to.
Yeah.
But, like, at the same time, what I'm learning now is what I'm inspired by is that there is it's okay to feel a certain kind of way when
kind of way.
yeah, I don't know how else to explain it because I don't know what to quantify it as. It's not like it's not like being upset. It's a little bit more nuanced than just umbrella of being upset, but disappointed would be a nice word for it, and learning how to get through that, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think a part of it is going to be time. Yeah.
Such a whore.
She really is an attention whore. Like, she acts like nothing, like I don't do anything for her.
Yeah, she acts like you don't give her any attention. You know, God forbid.
Yeah. Sit next to her, pet her, feed her, water her, walk her. Dog park.
Oh, oh,
Yeah.
oh,
Trigger words.
oh.
She's just staring at you now.
She's like,
her whole ears.
she's like, you can't say that and take it back.
I can. No, but later on this evening, I'll be definitely taking her to the dog park.
Hell yeah. What time is it? It's like 3, something like that?
Something like that. Yeah. Anything you want to share as far as things that have inspired you? I mean, I know you're a visual artist, so
Yeah.
like things have got to be inspiring you from day to day. Maybe week to week.
It's been a struggle to try and like draw because I got my eye surgery.
Mm-hmm.
So I have ghosting is what it's called. So basically I'm seeing double. So I kind of have
Stella, go lay
like
down.
I have like a letter and then I
Mhm.
have a letter directly behind it.
Yeah.
Or at night it gets really bad.
Mm-hmm.
And so I see
Go lay
them
down.
next to each other.
Mm-hmm.
So it's extremely hard to like look at like words and lines. So right now I'm kind of taking a break.
You know, actually though, maybe that would be a really interesting piece of art to see, you know?
Like, draw what you see.
Yeah.
Like, when your eyes allow you to.
I'm gonna say like if I draw what I see, you're
It could
gonna
be
see
for
some
yourself. It doesn't
trippy-ass
have to be for
shit.
others. Like, yeah.
But I have been playing my games and shit. So right now that's kind of been my motivation is to finish some achievements and shit on that.
Mm-hmm.
But really, I've just been working a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I hope I make rank on this next cycle so
Me
I
too.
can put someone in their place when they decide to be an asshole.
We both went straight for it.
Yeah.
What about you, Will?
Today, definitely rum.
Oh my god.
Rum is good.
Yeah. This week, just like getting ready to move.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's like I gotta start figuring that out. So being an adult,
Yep.
it's gonna be great.
It's fun.
I gotta find my own apartment. I gotta figure out how I'm gonna bring my dog out here.
Mm-hmm.
We gotta figure out how we're gonna do our wedding.
Probably just like go to a courthouse, do it that way, and then when she comes back from cruise, we'll actually have a wedding
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
because it'll be a lot easier. That way, she doesn't have to worry about putting in leave and all that crap.
Yeah.
I can just put it in leave, and since I'm on shore duty, it'll be like, okay, bye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially since I'll be in the middle of workups.
Yeah, so it would probably just be easier to go to a courthouse, honestly.
Yeah.
Um,
Call up your boy over here, and we'll just do a
yeah,
wham bam, thank you, ma'am
exactly.
wedding.
And then this year, what expires me this year? I'd say my dad, honestly.
Yeah.
Like my dad's put up with a lot of shit with like my brothers, and right now they got like 2 water hoses at the house that are broken, that are underground.
Oh.
So he had to dig like 3 feet underground to get to the water hose.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's a lot of
You
adulting.
didn't tell me about that.
Yeah, so
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah.
He's going to Sturgis this weekend.
To
I
where?
think. Sturgis,
I don't.
the motorcycle place.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's this weekend or next weekend. I think it's this weekend.
Is it like a convention or something?
Yeah, it's for like a motorcycle. It's like Comic-Con, but for like bikers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
I could
kinda
get
like-
behind that.
so-
Okay.
Yeah.
So kind of like a convention, just like those car meet.
It's like
and
a car
greet.
show.
You know, if you could just say
Yeah.
like, okay, so something like this is happening, I'm like, deer in the headlights. I don't know what the hell that is.
Yeah.
If you just address it as Comic-Con, but for these people, okay,
Yeah.
I
But,
understand now.
my
Yeah.
parents will be here near the end of the month. So,
Okay.
So we'll bring them by.
Hell yeah. I love seeing your
It
parents.
sucks I missed Comic Con in San Diego this year, though.
Yeah,
I was
same
like,
here.
man, that's so fucking close.
I was able to go to Pride.
Okay.
I was able to go to Pride. That was a whole event. That was a whole
Hold it
thing.
down.
But yeah, San
Lord.
Diego Comic Con, especially after like the pandemic,
Yeah.
Mhm.
that would have been fun to go
If
to.
I go, I want
Yeah.
to go like it's like a Death Trooper or like a Grand Admiral.
It sucks because it was while he was in Key West and I was at Travis
Yeah.
up
Hey.
in Fairfield while it was there, and I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
Before we leave, if any of you guys are in Key West, fuck that place.
Mm-hmm.
All right, fuck that place.
Look, the only thing you all said that you could do was party.
I don't party.
That's all you do in Key West is party. That's,
Yeah.
that's the whole point.
Like if I was
behind that whole
single,
island.
maybe
Yeah.
Like, I'm about to get married.
Yeah.
I don't care.
I don't know. I'm not big on drinking heavy out in public.
Yeah, I already did my time on that.
I never did my time. It's just something I don't like.
Well, even now, I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, guys, thanks for joining me on the pod, and I had a whole lot of fun. I don't
Yeah.
know if you guys did,
Yeah, we
but
did.
thanks for joining me. And as I sign off with every episode, I usually tell my audience, be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and don't pollute. And I will drop another episode in the near future, and I'll hear from you all soon.
Yeah. Catch us next week on Murder with My Wife.
Oh my god.